Tonight's guest. Let's go ahead and bring on Raymond Karczewski, his website, arkenterprise.com. Raymond, thanks for coming on.
Thank you for inviting me. You're coming in kind of quiet.
Do you go by Raymond? Which would you prefer?
Raymond is fine.
Okay.
You're coming in kind of light. Could you increase the volume somewhat, or is that impossible?
Geez, if I'm coming in light, then we know we have a problem, because I got such a loud mouth that it's hard to believe. Mr. Producer, how does it sound on your end? Do we sound all right? Yeah, okay. So we'll try to speak as loudly as possible. You might have to adjust your receiver during the break.
Okay.
But you don't need to hear me, because at the end of the day, this show is a platform to hear you, and to hear some of what you are wanting to relate to the listeners and to share. And you do so in your writing primarily, and this is a special treat to have you on. You've exposed Satanism, you've exposed mind control on many different levels. We had you briefly come on when we had Mark Passio on last to talk about your experience as a peace officer and the state of the police state as it exists today. But I'm very much open, Raymond, to talk about anything you like tonight and to allow for this flow of consciousness to take place on this vessel known as the Bob Tuskin Show. So why don't you introduce yourself to the listeners, and why don't we start from there, I guess?
Basically, I'm what one might call a nobody. I have a recording on YouTube titled The Nobody and the Somebody, the Christ and the Christian. Well, I'm the nobody. And I say that because everyone who lives in their intellect is trained to be a somebody. There is a goal to be reached in life, and one strives to achieve that goal without knowing that the goal is a lie. We are all living a lie when we live in our intellects, because our intellects are like a computer that's programmed by outer resources, which might be the media, which could be the government, and could be religion. These are satanic forces that form and adjust your worldviews, and you become attached to your beliefs. Now, all beliefs are lazy men's truth. The truth stands on its own. It is based in non-dualistic energy, the energy which is holistic, holy, complete, wholesome. The non-dualistic energy is that of the ideas that we hold of truth. These are the basis for religions, for countries, for nations, for all the institutions which have enslaved us through belief. And few of us break through that kind of conditioning. We go through life agreeing to go along, to get along with each other. And what we accomplish by that is we create and support a living hell, one of division, one of constant conflict, wars, exploitation of others, competition with each other, endless argumentation, all based in competition. That's the satanic way. We have been seduced by Satan, the god of intellect. Now, Satan, the base meaning of Satan is opposer. It's the sower of division, dualistic energy, where one is split in their consciousness, which leads to confusion, which leads to constant argument in order to come to an at-one-ment with an understanding, which then becomes non-dualistic. That's the completion of thought. When one is complete in that thought, they can now create in action their lives. There's no question about we are the co-creators of our lives, each of us. We have lost sight of that. Excuse me. Because we believe in the ideas that have been conditioned into us by our leadership. And you can take it from this Christ, and I am a living Christ. For Christ is nothing more than a simple man of truth. He speaks truth. He acts in truth. He is truth. That has a devastating effect upon dualistic intellects. It angers them, frustrates them. It draws them out of their violence into putting it into action. They cannot stand to hear the truth, because if they did, they'd have to change themselves. But first they have to admit that they need to change. And they can't do that. They're too confused. So I anger a lot of people, not intentionally. For I follow God's law, do no harm. But in that doing no harm, that holistic energy, it's devastating upon the conflicted dualistic energy of believers. So I think that might set the stage for what you may want to ask me, Bob. Go ahead.
Very interesting. A lot to chew on there. Let's talk a little bit about your notion of Christ.
As I say, Christ... Go ahead. Christ is a simple man of truth, that's all. Jesus of Nazareth was a nobody in his time. He was not a politician. He was not a leader. He was just a common man who was at one with truth. That set him apart beyond the satanic power of mind controllers, the leaders of his time. And because of that, he posed a threat to the whole institution of government of his time that wanted to enslave its people through thought. Well, he stood in truth, and that truth was devastating to the people who follow mind-control beliefs. That's why they had to kill him. He posed a threat to the institutions of his time, as I do in my time. Jesus is my brother. He was my equal. He is truth. I am truth. That is not fully understood by almost everybody who lives in their mind, for they can't let go of the thoughts that have been conditioned and keep being reinforced. You go to church on Sunday, you hear the same old story, repeated until it becomes a habit. And then you begin to live that habit in your own life, and you think that you're doing something good. Actually, you're going in the other direction. You're becoming robotic. You're becoming obedient. You're becoming subservient. You're becoming a slave to your thoughts. And you're completely unaware of it. Well, Christ is a shocker to all those things, because truth cannot be dissuaded in any way, shape, or form by thought, which is satanic. See, when the man Jesus was purportedly attempted to be seduced by Satan on the mount, bow down before me, worship me, and I will give you the world. That was his intellect talking to him. And he stood up as a holistic man, and he said, "Hit the bricks, Satan. You have no control over me. I control the intellect. Not many people can say that.
The intellect in today's world, which you identify as Satanism, and this is a very metaphysical conversation, but I think it's an important one. So I want to preface for those just tuning in what this is all about. We're joined by Raymond Karczewski, who is our guest, who is the truth. I am the truth, as he has said. And you didn't get to decide that you are the truth. You are the truth, and the truth is the truth. And this might sound like circular reasoning or whatever it might be, but your intellect should not be at hand here, because you are the truth simply because the truth is the truth, not because you say it's the truth. Is that
That's right. The truth is what it is. And it can't be changed by intellect.
And we can apply that to anything. Because we can rationalize and have this dualistic, as you say, intellectual conversation going on for any topic there may be, and you'll be pulling hairs essentially trying to break down what and this aspect of 9/11 is this and that aspect of 9/11 is that and this is that. But at the end of the day, to apply this to a physical reality and happening, it's still the truth, or the truth remains as a what's the word I'm looking for? As an external, not external, but it remains regardless of what perceptions want to get in the way. The truth is completely compartmentalized in a sense. I guess I'm not articulating.
Well, it's not compartmentalized. Truth is holistic. So it can't be compartmentalized. Right. See, what we're talking about is the difference between the holistic truth, the non-dualistic truth, and the dualistic idea of truth. That's what is contained in the intellect. Now, the intellect, I must say that we have to use the intellect if we're going to use words to communicate with one another. But we must focus upon the energy behind the words. That's where the spirit of the word is communicated. That's where truth is communicated. At the letter of the word, the superficial edge of the word, that's what lawyers and judges and politicians deal with. They twist and turn and
exactly. Yes.
That's how they have power. They confuse people. They make people confounded, misunderstanding everything because they have such a power to manipulate words. Truth doesn't do that.
Word spellers, or I guess we could look at the meaning of the word spell. To spell is, like SPELL, to actually, RAYMOND, and to spell is also could be considered as if it was a spell. We interviewed somebody, Raymond, not too long ago, looking at words and language and all these things as essentially mind control. These mnemonic devices as a used platform for Satanism.
Right. Well, you see, that's what life is all about. We must put to the test of truth the words that we believe in, and it's hell. It's painful. It's confusing and violent. And that's what we must, it's like walking a gauntlet. And we must take our lumps to learn how to stand up to it and not submit, to the violence of words. You see, I'm currently at odds with the state of Oregon and the Josephine County Sheriff's Office, where I'm demanding an investigation into a 12-year, actually a 19-year internet campaign, a mind control campaign that's been taken up by the United States government's intelligence community through their various campaigns of internet disinformation agents. They have sought to destroy my reputation, my character. They've assaulted the reputation of my wife, who's now deceased. They've tried every trick in the book to discredit me, to discredit my message by attacking me. And I've gone to the FBI, I've gone to the state law enforcement investigation agencies, and I've gone to the local county investigative agency through the sheriff's office. I've contacted present Sheriff Dave Daniel of Josephine County, and he refuses to respond with my criminal complaint that has been sent to him on 5 occasions on the internet in writing, and he refuses to act on it. Now, this kind of thing is what Jesus did in his time. He challenged the law of his time, man's law, as he stood in God's law, which was do no harm. You see, we all stand in God's law, but we sell our souls in order to submit to man's law with millions of infractions and regulations and what have you. And that's how they control us. If one lives their life in do no harm, they are aligned with natural law. They don't need God's law. They don't need man's law, the law of mammon. That's my position, and I've played hell with them. I've raised all the hell of the courts where they convicted the juristic person whose name is spelled in all capital letters, which resembles my name, but is not. It's the one that appears on the birth certificate. They convicted twice. When I went to sentencing, I stood up and I refused to accept their sentence because they had not proven jurisdiction over this living, breathing, flesh and blood, sentient, natural man. You see, a fiction, a court, a product of man's imagination and thought process, which is what government is. It's just an idea. It has no power. It has no jurisdiction over any living man or woman unless that man or woman consents to it. And that's what people do when they join the corporation, when they vote for officers of the corporation. They belong to that corporation and its rules and regulations, and that corporation owns them as it has enslaved them. But a living man who understands who he is cannot be enslaved. Now, they held me in solitary confinement for 121 days awaiting trial, out of 128 days, with 7 days in general population. In that time, I underwent 2 hunger strikes, fasts, one of 33 days and one of 22 days. The latter was 22 days. And in that time, I was near death. And they were at the point where, what were they going to do with me? They had a problem earlier, and they did not want to have it repeated with another death in the jail. So when it came time for sentencing, and I refused to accept their sentencing because they had not proven jurisdiction, instead of throwing me into prison for 35 years, as they had threatened, they threw me out of jail with no charges over my head. And they will not arrest me now. They will not bring me before court now. I called their bluff.
We'll be back in just a second. Hold on one second, all right? We'll continue that when we get back.
The Tuskin Show.
There are many water filters to choose from, but there is only one system that is consistently customer rated 5 stars as the #1 system for effective filtration of fluoride, radiation, drug residues, heavy metals, a wide range of radioisotopes, and more. Introducing the Pure Effect Ultra, the next generation water filter that also raises alkaline pH, improves antioxidant potential, and has advanced anti-radiation technology, all while using no electricity. Sold worldwide, it provides virtually instant clean water on demand. It is not made in China, and the shipping is free to all 50 states. Buy your Pure Effect Ultra today by visiting pureeffectfilters.com or call 888-891-4821. Again, that's 888-891-4821 or visit pureeffectfilters.com.
Americans are reeling from Obamacare, higher prices, and an epidemic of policy lapses. AsiaRunLikeHellGuide.com has you covered. World-class medical and surgery at one of Asia's most modern hospitals. 300 doctors, surgeons, and dentists serving 300,000 patients a year. Fractions of U.S. prices. Friends or family forced to go out of pocket? Avoid bankruptcy. Tell them to run. Run like hell. Hit us up now. We'll show you how. AsiaRunLikeHellGuide.com.
Nutritious food is real body armor. It builds muscle, burns fat, improves digestion, and feeds the entire body the nutrients it needs. Did you know the U.S. government banned the hemp plant from growing in the United States and classified it as a Schedule I drug to hide it behind the marijuana plant? People have been confused about this plant for over 80 years, and many still don't know what hemp is. So now you know hemp is not marijuana, and marijuana is not hemp. They are different varieties of the same species. HempUSA.org wants the world to know these basic facts and to help people understand that hemp protein powder is the best kept health secret you need to know about. Remember, hemp protein powder contains 53% protein, is gluten-free, anti-inflammatory, non-GMO, and is loaded with nutrients. Call 888-910-4367, 888-910-4367, and see what our powder, seeds, and oil can do for you. Only at HempUSA.org.
Nice shooting. Hey, that's a sweet AK-47 chest rig. Is that multicam?
Yeah, got it from StrikeHardGear.com.
Strike what?
StrikeHardGear.com.
Set your sights on StrikeHardGear.com. Tough, tactical gear for your Soviet-style weapon that's made in the USA. Affordable, plus a no-questions-asked 30-day money-back guarantee and lifetime replacement warranty. StrikeHardGear.com. Go ahead. Pull the trigger.
Through their ministries of propaganda, each took complete control of the theater, the movies, the radio, every cultural activity and every channel of information.
Well, times is tough, all right. Yeah, I'll say.
It's the future.
Raymond Karczewski is our guest tonight on the Bob Tuskin Show, ArcEnterprise.com, his website. So, Raymond, let me get this straight. You were held for 121 days, is that accurate?
Yeah, 128 days, actually. 121 in solitary confinement.
121 in solitary confinement, okay.
And that was because of a high beam violation. And the fact that I had attempted to hold my public officials accountable for their criminal action. So they weren't
what do you mean by high beam violation? Your lights, a car?
Yeah, I was driving with my high beams on unknowingly, and they made a traffic stop, and out of that, well, I had also rescinded my driver's license in 1999, and I don't have a license. I'm not required to have a license because I'm a traveler.
How did you go about rescinding your driver's license?
Well, I sent a notice to them that I was not going to renew it because I have no need. I'm not involved in any commercial activity, and at that point, I just stopped using my driver's license.
Okay, fair enough.
Now, I have a point that I want to make, which goes to the fact of how we're controlled. Now, it has been said that man uses between 5 and 10% of his consciousness, his mind.
I've heard that many times.
And you see, that refers to the intellect. The intellect is a programmable instrument, much like a computer, that is conditioned through outside sources to create images that we create as our reality, and then we live according to that reality. That's the conscious mind. The subconscious mind, which is not known by people, the average person, is the realm of God. It's infinite. It has no boundaries, has no limitations. It is multi-dimensional in its aspect, not confined to the linear intellect. That is the realm of truth. That is the realm of Christ consciousness. And only those who have transcended the limited intellect, the divisive intellect, and has risen above, comes to point where they are at one with the subconscious. That is the realm of truth. So it is possible for everyone to have that consciousness, but most people doubt themselves. They follow the dictates of science that says it's impossible, that you're unaware of it, and you are, because you believe it. Now, that's mind control. And it operates on every living individual who doubts himself and becomes a civilized citizen.
Raymond, may I interject for just a moment? I have a thought here, and this just came to my head, and I wonder if it's profound or not. But isn't not believing a belief?
No. If you substitute one belief for another belief, then you described your statement. But if the energy is not dualistic, but is absolutely non-dualistic, then that is truth. And that's beyond the limited consciousness of the conscious mind. So it's very subtle. You see, all the tricks of the mind are played in the intellect.
Right.
And if one is resonating with non-dualistic truth, the dualistic shenanigans are penetrated because they have no control over what's beyond their ken, their understanding. So a man who stands in truth is perfectly protected by such truth. That's why I'm not in jail. That's why they can't threaten me. They could kill me. I've had a few threats.
The Bob Tuskin Show. You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org. Earthquakes, hurricanes, nuclear accidents, terror attacks, and all-out social collapse. With the world today more volatile than ever, the future has never looked more uncertain. Survivalist magazine is the one resource you can't afford to be without. Claim your free trial subscription now at www.survivalist.com, and your first issue ships immediately. Get all the details and more at www.survivalist.com or order by phone. Call 1-866-437-6570. Your survival may depend on it.
Has your dancing and romancing done gone away? Are you moaning and a-groaning from the stresses of the day? Are you reeling and a-peeling because a headache's on the way? Well, relax for just a moment. Stress relief is on the way. Of what am I speaking, you ask? The essential oils of long historic use, the wisdom of the ages, the health care of the ancients, frankincense, myrrh, hyssop, and hundreds of others too numerous to mention. What could be more appealing? Do you know that Young Living Essential Oils has an element of life that makes them extremely effective in body rejuvenation? This element is called vibration, and it works with body systems, not against them. The professionals at Divine Living Oils have tested and been so impressed with this product that we are using them to help others. And who are we? We are health professionals with many years' experience. Trust us, we have seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. Our motto? Because we care about you. Do your health and spirit a great favor. Call us at 304-542-4226. That's 304-542-4226. Again, that's 304-542-4226.
HempUSA.org has a revolutionary wonder food for detoxing the body and rebuilding the immune system. Microplant powder can help unclog arteries and soften heart valves while removing heavy metals, virus, fungus, bacteria, and parasites. Plus, it cleans and purifies the blood, lungs, stomach, and colon. Keep your body clean with Microplant powder. Order today at 888-910-4367 or visit HempUSA.org.
Come to Finca Payano, a small community in Panama, which is being established for people who believe that a future crisis may be difficult to survive in North America after a collapse of the system. Go to bugoutpanama.com for more information. There is limited space for 100 people only. Go to bugoutpanama.com to immigrate as long as you can. Prepare. Don't despair at bugoutpanama.com.
Dr. Joel Wallach, author of the famous health lecture Dead Doctors Don't Lie, presents his newest book, Epigenetics. Epigenetics is required reading for the very survival of Americans, and yes, all of humanity. Modern man has bet on the wrong horse to save them from disease and pestilence. The medical system has failed us fearfully. Join the health revolution. Buy Epigenetics today and receive a free membership to purchase all the products that Dr. Joel Wallach formulated at wholesale prices and receive a free CD of Dead Doctors Don't Lie. All this for only $25 plus shipping and handling. Call 888-311-4311. That's 888-311-4311. Again, that's just $25 plus shipping and handling. And you'll receive the new book, Epigenetics, a free membership, and a free CD of Dead Doctors Don't Lie. Call 888-311-4311. That's 888-311-4311.
Nice shooting. Hey, that's a sweet AK-47 chest rig. Is that multicam?
Yep, got it from StrikeHardGear.com.
Strike what?
StrikeHardGear.com.
Set your sights on StrikeHardGear.com. Tough, tactical gear for your Soviet-style weapon that's made in the USA. Affordable, plus a no-questions-asked 30-day money-back guarantee and lifetime replacement warranty. StrikeHardGear.com. Go ahead. Pull the trigger.
She's the louder we're singing, the less they're hearing. Babylon got them so mindless they can't see Armageddon is near. I try to shake them, to wake them, but they say they'd rather be sleeping. So don't be surprised if my eyes turn to skies and inside me my spirit is weeping.
So Raymond, you were telling us you've been threatened before, which is not surprising.
Yes. I sent you an email. You're on my email list, or my mailing list. So,
right.
The latest item is, can a living Christ raise the consciousness of living dead ignoramuses? Now, the word ignoramus may be taken as an insult, but it's not. It's merely a word which defines one who is not aware of what lies beyond its understanding. So in that case, all intellectuals are ignoramuses because they cannot go beyond the limitations of their own personal understanding. And the spiritual truth is always beyond their ken, their understanding. So that usually sets people into argument with me. I will not argue with anyone. I merely speak the truth. And one has free will. They can either take it or...
Am I able to will myself beyond that understanding?
The willing comes from being quiet, from dying to the intellect, and being reborn of the spirit of non-dualistic truth. That could be called meditation, but most meditations are systems of controlling thought, and therefore is mind control, satanic mind control. True silence is how one transcends the noise of the intellect, the conditioned intellect.
So how do you define the silence then?
Well, it's something that you know when you see it. See, truth can only be seen. It cannot be arrived at through thought. And that's where most of the time and energy is wasted by people who try to learn through ideas. You see, you will come to the idea of truth, but the idea of truth is not truth. It's merely a reflection, a satanic reflection at that, of truth.
That resonates with me. That makes sense.
Yeah. But that's the point, you see. Most people cannot even come to the point where they can see that. And therefore they'll argue, or they'll attack, or they'll try and twist and turn things to the point where you get lost in the milieu of confusion. That's hell. And everyone who lives in their intellect is subject to that hell. They feed it with their own energy, their own confusion, their own fear. You see, we must break through of all that. And we can. See, this may sound like a boast. It is not. I have proven that a man can stand up and back down the satanic courts of our land. I've done that. They don't like it, but they're helpless. You see, they have to play by satanic rules, and they will submit to truth. They won't go, they can't do a damn thing about truth. So that's where they back down. Now, every living, breathing, flesh and blood man and woman hearing my voice has that power within them. They just doubt it, and therefore they are enslaved to their doubt. But if one man can do it, all men can do it. That's the transition. That's the second coming of Christ, by the way. You see, we all have the Christ state of consciousness based in our subconscious. We have given it up in return for the promise of security, and therefore we obey people who know, who say they know, and they will lead us out of our confusion. Has government led us out of our confusion? Clearly not. They have led us into war after war.
Into confusion.
Pardon me?
They've brought us into confusion.
Yes, absolutely.
And I say they. I should more aptly say the concept.
Yeah. See, we can stop the wars in the Middle East right now by not supporting Obama or his henchmen. They're satanic minions, all of them. Not a one has an ounce of truth in them. But we're so corrupt in our own intellects that we live in fear of exposure, of exposing them or being exposed ourselves. And that's why hell continues. And we do nothing about it. We just support it with more money.
Mm-hmm.
Without our money, without our psychological support, government is just a concept. It just disappears for lack of fueling it. That's the power of boycott that every living man and woman has within them. Once they start to organize themselves, they're caught in satanic thought. And that's the end of it. They just continue hell because they substitute one system for another, and another, and another, ad infinitum. We must stop it cold and live our lives according to God's law, which is do no harm. After that point, what need do any of us have for government who must tell us how we must live or be punished? We have millions of people languishing in prison and jail cells for victimless crimes. In truth, in God's law, if there is no victim, there is no crime. Yet look at all the people who are in jail because of revenue-gathering forces of victimless crimes. Ed and Elaine Brown are prime examples of that kind of tyranny.
Absolutely.
They are good people.
And they're just one example of many. Raymond, I have to bring up this point, not this point, but I have to bring this up. You came from a background as a former peace officer or police officer, right? I mean,
I'm a retired police sergeant, yes.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting context to what you're saying here, which stands alone, mind you. It stands outside of the fact that you know what you're saying doesn't have any bearing on whether or not you were a police officer, you are a police officer, you're not a police officer. It is what it is. But at the end of the day, I think it is interesting to put things in some context here about who, the message. I guess what I'm trying to say is we shouldn't shoot the messenger regardless, but at some level, it's very interesting that you came from that background as a police officer.
Well, I came from a very violent background. Growing up in the south side of Chicago, I was highly involved in sports, and ultimately I got into boxing, and boxed professionally for a bit. When I realized that I could not hurt my opponent, that's a dumb thing to be doing, is stepping into a ring when you don't want to hurt somebody. That's the gauntlet that I speak of, where you must go through the violence and come out of it understanding what it was that you just went through.
But you don't have to go through that necessarily.
That's the
I didn't go through that to know.
Yeah. Well, the police department was pretty much the same thing. I had to go through that to understand how the corruption affects every one who comes into the business, regardless of their desire. You see, I was a training officer for my department, which was Pacifica Police Department on the Bay Area of San Francisco. Nice town. And by and large, it was a good department. I worked for an ex-FBI agent, Neil Tremaine, who was a man's man. He was an integral man, an honest man, and a credit to police work in his time. Now, there were political forces that were working to change the department, and my retirement was based on that, where they forced me into a retirement based on a back injury. And then once I was retired, they removed the chief. And thus, the New World Order began to emerge, even back then, back in 1970. They did me a favor. They gave me a life that I could, my children, raising my children, they wouldn't starve. I started my own security company and had that for 12 years, and I sold that and then retired altogether in 1982. So I've been retired now for pretty much 40 years, and it's given me the opportunity to be quiet, to be introspective, to examine the truth of what I see, and I attribute that to my Christ state of consciousness. Most people are too busy earning a living, striving from morning to night just to pay the bills, which always outstrip the wages. That's the conditioned slavery that we are all condemned to until we awaken, until we come to see truth about ourselves. And that's what I'm doing on the internet. My platform is writing, because I can do it quietly. I can do it in silence, and let the spirit of truth arise in my writing. Now,
Can you find quietness in the noise?
Well, the noise is what happens when you stop thinking. You don't really stop thinking, do you? All these unfinished ideas clutter up your mind because you're still in a dualistic energy, a conflicted energy of not. You haven't resigned, the conflict, the contradiction. See, we have been born into original sin. Now, I define sin as contradiction in essence. In other words, a lie. If someone is not clear, totally clear, they are living in conflict. That's the contradiction of hell. And it manifests in every aspect of our lives. We don't call it that, but it is that.
Mm-hmm. So if Christ is truth, and a simple man, a truth, if you will, then liars and deceivers, they're the Antichrist.
They're Satanists. Yes. Yes. Absolutely. They are not what is. They are the antithesis of what is. You see? And they don't know it because everybody's doing it. They look around for guidance, and it's the blind leading the blind. You see, truth is simple. It's so simple that the complex intellect cannot grasp it. People hold me up to be intelligent, supremely intelligent. And intelligence has a different connotation to it. I have an ordinary intelligence from the standpoint of the dualistic intellect. But I know when to use the intellect in resolving problems that may arise in technical issues and for communicating with others. And those are the things of the intellect. But for the rest of life, I'm able to shut off the noisy intellect and just observe the what is and merge with it. And that resolves all problems. Because when you're at one with what is unfolding, there is no contradiction. You see? But we hold such importance to intellectual acuity that we try to define ourselves accordingly. It's all bass-ackward. It is the simple man, the uncivilized man, if you will, who can see truth and operate in truth. The primitives were of that nature.
I was just thinking that. That was the first thought. A very primitive existence. Fire, water, food.
They had it all. You see, and they didn't step over themselves with ideas that were illusions, which they had to try and make those illusions real, which is civilized society. Once civilized society was born, raised, hell began.
Raymond, do you have any experience with entheogens or psychedelics?
No. I've never smoked a marijuana in my lifetime. Ever. I don't engage in psychedelics. I find that sobriety, not sobriety, but clarity of truth is the greatest high there is. Nothing can touch it.
Yeah, I don't doubt that. However, I do notice that there are people out there who have benefited from what they like to call an ego death through a psychedelic experience. Not prolonged use or anything like that, but from a significant psychedelic experience. And it seems that it strips them away on some level, for better or for worse, of some of these convoluted thoughts and so on and so forth. We got to take our final break of the night, Raymond, and when we come back, we'll finish, this small look at your work. They can find more at your website and read up at it, on it rather there. The website is simply, let's see, I had it in front of me. I'll give it to you when we get back from the break. So.
Recent events have shown just how vulnerable we are to deadly viruses, bacteria, and fungus. These diseases are all caused by infectious pathogens that often get the upper hand on conventional medical treatments. Now more than ever, there's a great need for a product that will help protect us. Look no further. Supernatural Silver can provide immune system support to help fight off these deadly pathogens. Supernatural Silver is a new and vastly improved type of silver solution that's safe and extremely effective against 143 types of bacteria, both forms of viruses, mold, and yeast. Supernatural Silver can be taken orally or used topically and can be used in a nebulizer or vaporizer for inhalation. With over 180 scientific studies by independent universities, hospitals, and research institutions, Supernatural Silver is a powerful weapon against disease. Go to supernaturalsilver.com and use the promo code SILVER2014 for 20% off your entire order. Give you and your loved ones a fighting chance with Supernatural Silver.
Your money. What is it worth today? A $100 bill in 1913 is worth only $2 today. So now your money is just about worthless, and the Fed will continue printing more and more of it. But what if you could turn it around, $1 at a time, and make your money worth more than it is now? How? By acquiring gold before your paper money is totally worthless. But how can you afford gold at today's prices? By buying it 1 gram at a time. And this is so important because gold is the future. For as little as $65, you can begin trading your almost worthless currency for something real, something you can hold. Carat bars, which keep their value, can be stored securely and are easily accessible, just like a savings account, but a savings account backed by your gold. Carat Bars International, a savings account you can count on. For more information, please click on the Carat Bars banner ad at republicbroadcasting.org. Again, that's the Carat Bars banner ad at republicbroadcasting.org, and start saving now.
Nice shooting. Hey, that's a sweet AK-47 chest rig. Is that multicam?
Yeah, got it from StrikeHardGear.com.
Strike what?
StrikeHardGear.com.
Set your sights on StrikeHardGear.com. Tough, tactical gear for your Soviet-style weapon that's made in the USA. Affordable, plus a no-questions-asked 30-day money-back guarantee and lifetime replacement warranty. StrikeHardGear.com. Go ahead, pull the trigger.
Want something different from your detox? Then you want Hemp USA's microplant powder for a full body detox. With 7 formulations and 8 different sizes, you will feel and see the difference. And the best part? It's only about $10 a month. Our customers love it, and we ship worldwide. Get the detox difference. Get microplant powder from hempusa.org. Call 888-910-4367 or visit hempusa.org. See what our powder, seeds, and oil can do for you at hempusa.org.
To their names can be added those of hundreds of thousands of others who stood in the way of the new order. Right now isn't what we're building for.
This has gone by rather quickly. Raymond Karczewski has been our guest. His website, arcenterprise.com. I promised you I would give it to you in this final segment. There it is, arcenterprises.com.
Yeah, that's the political site, actually, and dealing with the interactions with most of the mind controllers and showing how to deal with them. The other site is Lisa Ray Enterprises.